friends, it's Juliana Michaels and welcome to my channel. Today I have something super exciting to share with you. And aside from just a few crafty friends and my husband, I have not shared what I've been working on for the last several months with anyone else until today. Today I'm announcing the release of my first ever digital paper crafting collection called Metamorphosis. And yes, it's all about butterflies, but it's also about so much more. It's about me and my journey as I've created this paper collection. And I can't wait to share more about it with you today. Now I know I normally share a lot of mixed media and like hands-on crafting type stuff with you. And yes, this is a little bit different, but this is also something I've had a passion for quite some time. Many years ago, many of you might not know, but I did do some graphic design work for a scrapbooking company. And once I left that company, I stopped doing any kind of digital paper designing or anything like that and just focused on what you've seen here with my card making and paper crafting here. And it's always been something that was just kind of in the back of my mind, something that I loved greatly and just never, I guess, had the confidence to get back out there and do it on my own. And recently I was inspired, motivated by an artist in the community, and it just really got me thinking about myself, where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. And I know I've been kind of searching a lot lately for kind of my crafting place, even though to many of you I probably already had that. I didn't feel that internally. So with the process of learning how to design this collection and all of the steps involved in creating it, I just had a wonderful journey, and I learned so much about myself and the process of creating the digital art, and I've just fell in love with it even more. So with that said, I am super excited to share this collection with you and what it means to me. So when you hear the collection name Metamorphosis, you might immediately think of butterflies, and that is exactly what I want you to think about. But it means so much more to me than just the process of a butterfly emerging. And it's really an embodiment of my own creative journey, as I kind of mentioned earlier. So throughout this collection, along with it reflecting that, it also contains all the things that I love. So colors that I love, images that I love, and just there's lots of little small sprinkles of me throughout this collection in so many different ways. And I hope that comes across as you look at each piece in the collection. So one of the things that is kind of unique about this collection, and what I had in mind when I was designing it, is that I wanted it to kind of be a starting point for your creativity, that you could take the papers that speak to you and then add your own touches to them, whether it's layering other papers in the collection or the ephemera, or adding your own things to it, such as stamping or stenciling or embossing folders or other types of mixed media type effects. The other thing I kept in mind when I was creating this collection is, because I'm a paper crafter myself and I've done card making and scrapbooking and all the things, I really tried to keep in mind all of that as I was creating it. So I've done my best to design it with card making, junk journaling, art journaling, scrapbooking, mini albums, all the things in mind as I designed it. Now, because this is a digital collection, you will need to print this out at home using a printer, or if you don't have a printer, you can also take it to your local print shop and have them print it out for you, and then you can use it at home that way. So there's definitely some options of using this collection, especially if digital printing and digital paper work is not something that you're familiar with. This is, for me, something I've had to learn about. So learning about different printers and the papers and things like that. So if you've got questions related to any of that, please let me know and I'll be happy to get back to you with that information. And if I find that a lot of you are having those kind of same questions, I will put together some informational videos to share at least what I've learned so far in my journey with this. So let's take a closer look at everything inside this collection. I'm going to show you the pattern papers and all of the ephemera. And then in my next videos, I'm going to share with you some card making tutorials. And then I've also got plans for an art journal video and a junk journal video using this collection. Metamorphosis is now available in my online Podia shop. I'll have a link to it in the description box below so that you can grab it at any time when you're ready. Come see the butterflies and witness the wonder of becoming. It's true for them, it's true for me, and in some small way, I hope it's true for you too. So to get started, I just wanted to go through and show you the patterns that are in the collection. There are 20 of them. And that might seem a little excessive, but I was having so much fun designing and creating these that I just kind of kept going. And as I go through here, I'll kind of talk you through some of the ideas and stories behind some of the different papers. So obviously the theme is very butterfly forward, with the monarch butterfly really being kind of the central focus, because it is my favorite butterfly. And as I went down the path of creating this collection, I really started actually kind of studying butterflies, and particularly the monarch butterfly. And one thing just kind of led to another. And that research kind of led me to a lot of really cool vintage books and articles and research that were done on butterflies. And those images will be seen throughout this entire collection. So as you can see, this first design, which is probably one of my favorites, mostly even just because of the color, this really pretty teal color here. So that's the one to start with there. And then the one that kind of coordinates with it is this pattern here. So you can see how those would go really nicely together. And if you look at this one kind of closely, you can see some old vintage stamp images that are on here from my own collection. So a lot of this art is either sourced or from my own personal collection of vintage items. And next up, we've got this kind of bold butterfly pattern, and I've added what looks to be a little bit of like a textured stencil type effect on top with like using texture paste. So I thought that would just kind of be a cool way to let you add a little bit of interest to the background without having to do all of the work. But that said, I didn't want all the papers to be completely what I would call finished. I want the papers to be left to where you could still add some stamping or inking to them and kind of customize them and still make them your own. So this again is just another one of the patterns with a lot of the butterfly imaging. And then now we're going on to this beautiful green color. Green is always a favorite of mine, so I couldn't resist including that. And here's another one. And with this pattern, I kind of added like an embossing folder kind of texture to it to give it just a unique effect. That said though, you could easily emboss any of these papers with an embossing folder and add your own unique designs to things that way as well. And one thing when I was going through this collection, I came across some floral images that are the types of flowers that the monarch butterfly utilizes during its lifespan. So that purple obviously then inspired including that color into this collection. So in the backgrounds here on a lot of these papers too, you'll see, if you just kind of look closely, there's still a lot of depth and interest to them, but I still feel like there's room to add to them, as I mentioned earlier, with, you know, stamping, stencil work, texture paste with stencils, embossing folders, inking, you know, just lots of different options. So here's kind of a look at the flowers that I was mentioning. So the butterfly bush and thistles are often pretty commonly associated with butterflies, and specifically the monarch. And then, of course, wanted to include, I just really love kind of a rusty color to give it just a little bit of a, I don't know, just one of my colors I like. So I kind of, this collection really is just a combination of all the things I love. And you can definitely see it throughout the collection. So this is a pretty similar pattern to this original one I shared, just in a different color palette with the kind of that rusty orange color. And then this one here with the printed butterfly book page. And then this one here again with the larger butterfly image and some texture to that. And after this one here, we kind of start getting into some that are a little bit more neutral colors, but this one here is just kind of a stripe pattern with some various textures and images on it that again coordinates with everything throughout the collection. This one kind of has the effect of like an old book page, but with some stenciling and kind of vintage text on it. And then these here, like I said, are the ones that really start getting pretty kind of neutral in my book, with just kind of looking like old book pages, and including then various textures and elements to them. Of course, this one here with all the butterflies. And this one here, again, I've kind of added a little bit of a textured stencil type look with the texture paste to the corners there. And then more kind of imaging, kind of vintage images there. And then last but not least, this just kind of old book, like the edges of book pages. And I just thought that was just kind of a cool. So kind of a cool effect there. But as you can see with all of these papers are 8.5 by 11. I am printing with an Epson EcoTank and using the borderless printing. With that printer, you can do that. So, you know, there's everybody's going to have different printers, but that's what I'm using. And yeah, the colors are just fantastic. I'm super loving that printer. And being able to print these at that 8.5 by 11, or you can resize them to whatever sizes you would like. You could use these for cards, junk journaling, scrapbooking. I mean, card making, of course. You could just use these for so many things. But I wanted to kind of stick with the 8.5 by 11 because most people are going to have access to that size of a printer when it comes to printing. But that said, if you don't have a printer, you can always go to your local office supply store and have them print these for you as well. Now, along with all of these patterns, I also put together a small collection of just kind of what I would call like solids. These are really not solid colors in the sense of it all being one color, but just kind of a monochromatic collection of shades of color. So I kind of have a darker and lighter of all of the main colors that are in the collection. So just to start off with, I've kind of got that kind of light off-white, tan, light brown color that's throughout the collection. And then I've done that same thing with the purple and with the blue teal color, with the rusty orange color, and then also with the dark brown. So as you can see, there's just kind of a lighter and darker. And then last but not least, the green. So you've got kind of the darker and lighter of that as well. So all in with the 20 pattern papers and the 12 kind of solid papers, there are 32 pattern papers in this collection to pick and choose from for your projects. Now, because I am also a card maker and I prefer typically to do the A2 size cards, I also resized the patterns into an A2 size. So that A2 size is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper cut into 4 pieces. So you have each one of the patterns sized down to that A2 size that you can just print and then cut apart to create your card front. And then, you know, if you wanted to layer any of these papers together, you could easily, you know, trim them down to mat and layer together. So again, just like I said, all the papers are all together here and ready to go for you. So when it comes to purchasing the papers, all of them are together in one bundle. So you've got all of the pattern papers, all of the solid papers, and then all of the A2 papers are all together. And now, of course, no collection would be complete without some ephemera. So I have also created some ephemera pieces, and in total, if you were to cut every single piece that's included in the ephemera pieces out, there are 300 of them. So lots and lots to pick and choose from. I've got the various butterflies that are available on this in different sizes. So the largest one here is 4 inches wide, and then 3 inches, 2 inches, and 1.5, I believe. And so I've got the monarch and the viceroy here are the 2 different butterflies available. And then here are some other ones that are also available. So there's 3 different ones on this sheet, and then 2 different ones here. You've got 2, I did 2 of the monarch again because that one's my favorite, and this is the viceroy, which actually looks very similar to a monarch, but is a different butterfly. And then I've got just some butterfly shapes with some of the neutral patterns in them. And got these kind of book pages with the different flowers that I've mentioned throughout. So like the goldenrod is a real common butterfly, especially for the monarch, the butterfly bush, the aster, and the thistle. And then here are the same ones, just a little bit smaller and individual. So you could cut those out. Here they are a little bit larger with some more of the butterflies. And then next up, I put together some, what I really call ephemera pieces with tickets and labels and book pages and things like that. So again, a lot of these are images that I've collected or pulled together from my own collection of antique books and you know, tickets and stamps and things. So got all these pieces that you can cut out and use. Here's some more tickets and stamps and book pages. And then kind of getting here into some different labels that I created. Again, everything coordinating with the papers. And just kind of some fun little strips. I always like strips and shapes that are kind of blank. You can add journaling onto these, or dates, or stamping, or whatever you'd like to kind of customize them to whatever you'd like to use them for. And then I've got this sheet here of just a bunch of old vintage labels that I created, all kind of based again around the butterfly theme. And there's lots of, little kind of personal touches in here and there that just kind of add a little special touch to these, especially as I was creating them. So, and then lastly, I also have this sheet of sentiments, and I did it in black with white text, and then the kind of the book page paper background with a black text. So just some options there. But with all of these, you can pretty easily use your scissors to cut them out. I will admit probably the most difficult ones to cut out are going to be these floral images, but I still feel that, even if they're not perfectly fussy cut, they could be still used in some great ways on your projects. And I will also be providing in this file, so you're going to have all 300 of these ephemera pieces available, and I'm also that you can just print. These are PNG images, so you can just print these pages out onto 8.5 by 11 paper with your printer. But I'm also going to provide the PNG files that you could use to, if you wanted to use like your silhouette or your Cricut to cut these images out. It can then use that PNG shape to help create an outline and then make these into cut files for you. So hopefully you found that helpful. Now, as I mentioned with the PNG files for these and being able to die cut them, of course you're going to need an electronic die cutting machine to do that. But I also wanted to mention that all of these images are also available as JPEGs, and they are at 300 DPI, so they're full images that you can print and have great, beautiful images to work with for your projects. So as far as purchasing the bundle, you can purchase all the papers separately, or you can purchase just the ephemera pieces separately, or you can get everything together in a collection bundle. So all of the links to all of these will be down in the description box below. And the ephemera will all of that you can purchase. That price is $20 for just the ephemera pieces. The pattern paper is all available for $16. And if you combine everything and do the bundle, which you get a little bit of a discount with that, and then that's $30. And again, all of the links to everything you can find in the description box below. I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough of my Metamorphosis collection. I also want to thank you so much for being here for this. It really means so much to me to be able to finally share this collection with you and to share this new branch of my creative journey with you. Now, that said, I am not going anywhere with my regular mixed media type videos that you have come to know me for, so stay tuned if that's more your thing. Those will be coming again soon as well. And as far as other videos that will also be coming up, make sure you stay tuned. Either turn on your notifications or subscribe to my email, and then you'll know about the latest videos that I have coming out. As I've mentioned, I am going to have some upcoming videos where I will have some projects and tutorials using my new collection to inspire you as you create along with it as well. And I hope to see you in those future videos. So until then, stay crafty, my friend.